Hey guys, this is National Master Kemye back at it with another video on one of the chess club member games that was played. Um, here was a chess club member, same chess club member, our second game in this series, so let's go over it. E4, right, E5, this time I kept it symmetrical. This is pretty normal, controlling the center. Knight F3, Knight F6. So I'm basically doing what's called a Petrov's defense. A Petrov's defense is where you don't protect your own pawn. You go for the opponent's pawn. But you have to watch out for something. Because if knight takes here, this isn't exactly the best move, right? Queen e2, queen e7, queen takes, 6, d4, f6, right? And then you have something like knight d3, and you bring in the knight. So what usually people do before taking on e4 is they play d6, right? They shoo away the knight off first, right? Go back and take the pawn. Now queen e2, there's this move queen e7, and no longer is the knight standing in the way. It's out of harm's way. Now if knight c3, knight takes is possible, and it becomes drawn. Right, so this is completely drawn position. But instead, our chess club member went with knight up, right? Protect his pawn, and I protected white. I need to protect my pawn. So I put knight c6, bishop c4. Now here's the thing. I can easily play the center fork trick. But instead, I thought, okay, since I already emphasized the center fork trick in previous games, I want to see if he does it to me, right? So if I do it here, knight takes d5, that's good for me. But I want to see if, watching my videos that maybe a chess club member took in the knowledge. So I played bishop c5, he can, right? Now, realize that his taking here is a mistake. Because if I come here, I threaten his bishop, my chess club member's bishop. So I thought, okay, he did good. He realized that the center fork trick didn't work. So he castled. d6, d3. I brought my bishop out, put some pressure on this diagonal, right? h3, perfect. I move back. I want to keep my annoying pin on this sort of diagonal. Then he plays g4. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. And I take. Now my threat is queen here, right? And my threat is knight there. So I have multiple threats. I thought about how our chess club member could defend. Could play king here, but I would move my knight in, right? King there, knight in, wouldn't look pretty. I also thought about, he plays here, right? Then I thought, what about this? What about this? King here. And I thought queen g6, something like that. It's all jumbled up. I know that my sacrifice wasn't sound, but I wanted to see how our chess club member would react to it, because it's not something that, it's not something that's easy to defend against. You have to find these specific one moves that are against my threat. So in this case, our Giuoco member played Queen E1. And I'm like, oh man, he forgot the knight. I took the knight, moved his bishop over, thinking, okay, I know I don't want this knight coming in, right? But the knight wasn't coming in. The queen was. And with a threat on h1, our chess club member resigned. So, as we learned, right, the sacrifice turned deadly. So, I just want to show how I think is the best way to play against the Petrov. As a beginner, right, you can definitely take. Then d6 happens, right, to push off this knight. Then I suggest knight back. And after knight takes, just bring the pawn out. Just don't care about him. He's in there. He exists. You see him. You say, okay, we know you're here, but we don't care. Your goal is to bring the bishop out, castle, pawn up, knight up. That sort of thing, right? It's going to look like a normal setup, and you're going to be challenging the center. White is going to be challenging the center. Black is going to be building on this knight here. So the bishop's going to come here. The knight is going to march this way. The rook is going to come here. So all that is going to support this open file. And what white is going to do is sort of try to, counterbalance that force, or just like get some other way of attacking the center. So that's basically my setup on the Petrov. So let's look at what I recommend for what is called the Giuoco Piano. So this is where the knight comes out to defend the pawn, bishop c4, bishop c5. It's all normal, right? My recommendation is just castle. Simple, okay? Knight f6 comes out to attack the pawn, e3, right? Black castles, just bring the knight out, okay? Simple as that. I think when we're starting off, the opening doesn't matter as much as it does for advanced players. As a beginner, it's not important to nobody is going to really win in the opening. It's going to come down to whoever has the bag of goods, whoever knows their stuff in the middle, in the end, and tries to not make the biggest mistake. We know that, like 800s, 900s, 1200s, they're bound to make a mistake because they haven't played enough, or they're too careless in certain things, right? So the main point here is that whoever makes the less bigger mistake, or let's say the more minor mistake, the one who makes the most minor mistake, the one who is able to power through is going to be the winner. But that's going to take not the opening, but really how the player chooses to develop his or her pieces. And that's why I recommend this sort of more simple system. So get the knight, get the bishop, get the knight, bring the bishop out, right? Maybe later you want to get the king out, you get the knight back, you want to push this pawn, you could do that. You could also get this pawn up, you can move that up, right? It's more or less simple. And so with this sort of, I'm guarding the center, I'm looking toward the center. That's all good. We've satisfied all the opening principles. And so by recommending this setup, it's more easier for beginners to play like this. Because pretty much you'll see this setup a lot. You'll see it in top games, you'll see it in not so great games, but the important thing is people are playing it and it's not a bad system because it's easy to play, right? So that's the goal here. And hopefully, I really hope you enjoyed my video because learning something is good, but having fun is ultimately what I want you to do. I want my viewers to have a curiosity in terms of what they want to do, what they want to achieve in chess, and I hope chess can help find that calling for anyone who wants to enjoy the game. So thank you.